The French Revolution was a struggle between the higher class and the lower class over the distribution of wealth and the general setup of the nation.
The French were one of the last European countries to use the feudal system, and it was an old and despised way of life by the lower classes.
The already rich aristocrats like merchants and officials were getting richer, and peasants were owning land and earning a livable amount as well.
One of the peasants' reasons for revolting was to gain full landowning rights as citizens of France, instead of not having full rights due to their financial status.
What began as a feud turned into a large conflict encompassing France and being known as the bloodiest Western World revolt ever. This is due partially to a notorious machine you're all very familiar with.
The increase in population only egged the already boiling country on, and with the nearly double population from 1750 to 1800, food was increasing in demand.
The food was given to the higher classes first purely because of their social status, only aggravating the others further. Hi, my name is Daniel.
And I'm Emma,
and this is Crash Course World History. Today we'll be talking about a guy named Dr. Joseph Ignace Guillotin. Mr. Guillotin was a normal child who lived in a small unknown town called Paris, which is still around today. He impressed the Jesuits and went to college at the Irish University of Bordeaux. After a while, he got restless and decided to study medicine back in Paris. Guillotin got a diploma from the Faculty of Rheims in 1768. After all that, he got a prize from that same faculty called the Doctor Regent.
Guillotin was strongly against France's death penalty, and his idea was to create a machine which would execute people in a more humane manner. At the time, peasants were killed painfully, either by drowning, burning at the stake, or hanging in the gallows. Yet aristocrats got the alternative, beheadings, either by axe or swords, which was supposed to be less painful, although they were often botched and became very gruesome. Guillotin's vision would cause both peasants and the wealthy to be equal in at least one thing, even if it was their own death. Although Guillotin originally came up with the idea, he worked with a surgeon named Antoine Louis to build the prototype.
During the French Revolution, as peasants revolted throughout the country, the guillotine made its debut when the famous monarch Louis XVI was publicly executed by the already well-known machine. Let's go to the thought bubble.
Misfortunate Louis was not the only one to face this fate during the Revolution. His own wife, Marie Antoinette, was also beheaded, along with many foreigners, aristocrats, and peasants alike. When introducing his idea, Guillotin had said, "With my machine, I cut off your head in the twinkling of an eye, and you never feel it." Dr. Bourriot tells a different story. He attended one of the public executions on June 28, 1905, and watched as Languille's head was cut by a machine. Next, Languille's eyes were very definitely fixed on mine, and the pupils focused themselves. After several seconds, the eyelids closed again. I called out again and again once more, without any spasm, and slowly the eyelids lifted, and undeniably living eyes fixed themselves on mine, and then he passed.
Thanks, thought bubble.
As Dr. Guillotin saw the ways in which his invention was being used during this revolution, he tried pretty hard to separate himself from it. After he passed away, his family attempted to petition for a name change, which is pretty understandable, but the government denied their request to maintain the name of guillotine. As for everyone else, the French loved the guillotine. Although crowds originally resisted the speed of the execution, saying it didn't last long enough to be entertaining, they quickly learned to love this new form of public execution. Eventually, families would bring their children to watch the killings, the executioners became a new form of celebrity, and many people set up food stalls around the guillotine to make money off of the crowds.
What do you want, me from the past? Am I gonna get a mini guillotine for Christmas? Ooh. I'm scared for your future after that question, partially because I already know how all that goes down. It was true that in the 1790s, children did ask their parents for a 2-foot miniature guillotine as a toy. Children would get these presents, and then after receiving such gift would continue to find small rodents and behead them. Yeah, this was a toy. Not only would they decapitate these creatures, but also that one creepy doll that nobody wanted to play with, off with the head. This is a very morbid form of play for very young children, and it was eventually banned for that due to this. The guillotine, despite its history, was the inspiration for more humane methods of the capital punishment, And not only for humans, but vets as well discovered more ways of taking something's life quickly and painlessly. Although the humane methods would have been invented despite history's events, the guillotine was known for being the kickstarter and showing the light to people about how gross wanting to go watch someone die was. As a result, things such as lethal injection and euthanization were invented for animals and humans alike. Firing squads were also increased in usage because of its simplicity and the reason that it was considered quick if performed correctly. The introduction of these methods were seen as an improvement in the field, although some other advances weren't. Things like the electric chair were still used until very recently in the United States, and the thought was that it simply shocked you and you died, but the truth was that it was extremely painful. With the end of the French Revolution passing by, the guillotine became the machine to be used by the new French government as the official instrument for death penalties.
The guillotine was last used in 1977 by the French, and its victim was a man named Hamida Gendalbi.
The guillotine was retired as the death penalty was abolished in 1981 in France. The guillotine would never be officially used again.
The idea of the guillotine carried on after its retiring date into today. This was a strive for painless execution instead of the awful medieval forms of killing.
Euthanization and lethal injection were new forms of carrying out the death penalty and putting down animals humanely as it pushed towards more humane ways of this penalty to be created.
And although this goal for less painful death probably would have occurred despite the invention of the guillotine, this device was instrumental in providing the world with a different look on execution. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, keep a good head on your shoulders.